On one of my neuro-linguistic programming courses, somebody made the point about depression, that you should ask yourself, well, why is it time for me to feel depressed? And I and a colleague looked at each other and thought, well, how do you know it's time? It just happens. It isn't as if something happens and then I feel depressed. If it does, then okay, you can identify it and probably do something about it. But I was suffering depressions 10 or 12 times a day, and this went on for years and years and years. And then one day, one evening, I was on a train coming back from London, and I was looking out of the window as usual because I'm a very poor traveller, and if I don't look out of the windows I feel very sick very quickly. And there was nothing particularly out of the ordinary. Fields, animals, trees, bridges, houses, cars, clouds, the usual sort of stuff. And then I went right down and I thought, what on earth caused this? And I couldn't think what it was. You never can. Anyway, so it must have caught my attention, and next thing I noticed I felt okay again. And then it happened again. I went right down again, and so it must have attracted my attention, and I felt alright again. I was starting to get a bit annoyed at this, especially when after about half an hour, this had happened 6 times. And I was getting really annoyed. Why does this happen? Why does this keep happening? Then it occurred to me. In Neuro-Linguistic Programming there's a concept called anchoring, and anchors occur naturally anyway to everybody. You know what it's like, you hear a sound and it takes you right back to somewhere or sometime, somebody. You see a picture, it takes you right back to a previous occasion, sometime many years in the past possibly. And it struck me that what was happening was that I was looking out of the window and seeing all sorts of ordinary things, but these were firing off anchors from events that had happened in the past. And I find that if you just understand what's happening, it can be a great relief. I didn't have many more attacks at all during that journey. Understanding helped me to not get so annoyed and not get so preoccupied, I suppose, and to stop some of the anchors firing off. Subsequently, about 6 months later, I was wandering around Bridgewater in Somerset, and it occurred to me, well, I'll never know what these occasions were that are firing these anchors off, because all these situations are actually neutral, but you attach emotions to them and that gives them the power. So being neutral, it's difficult to remember them, but the experience triggers off emotions, and it's the emotions that come back into your mind when an anchor fires off, and they come back as depression and anxiety. And that made a lot of sense as well, because your subconscious mind has a function that it stores all experiences you haven't managed to deal with to the point when you can, when you've got the power, if you like, to deal with them. And subsequent to that, I went into a particular technique that I devised myself and reduced the number of depressions I was getting in a day from 10 or 12 a day. After a month or so it was just down to 1 or 2, and it's got less and less than that ever since. But it's a matter of just recognising what's going on, physically feeling it if you can, being peaceful about it and letting it go. Now that probably sounds very simplistic, but in this small video I haven't got the time to go through the full technique.